to another live across the pond with my pontification partner, Andrew Henderson. Good afternoon, UK.
Good morning, USA! And it seems like that I have telepathy with the vaccines. How does that sound, Mr. Luce?
It looks more like you're in an interrogation room with nothing on the walls and we're about to beat you up.
It's very dull here today, actually. It's very gloomy Juney day, although it's October. It's very gloomy outside here in the UK. But I'm inside. I'm as light as I could ever be.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as you know, I said I would make an announcement today if the results were in. And the results.
Do I need a drum roll? Here, wait a minute.
Yeah.
All right, that's a poor drum roll. Go ahead with the announcements on your antibody test. Do you have antibodies for the deadly virus, Andrew Henderson?
Dear Andrew Henderson, birthday. Thank you for doing a coronavirus COVID antibody test. Antibodies were found in your blood sample. This means, if they didn't know, you have had COVID in the last 6 months. We detected antibodies that are made after an infection. And also, and here's the very suspicious bit, antibodies that might have been Anthony Fauci-ish, have been caused by a vaccine. This result does not guarantee.
It did not say Anthony Fauci in your letter.
No, I know, but I'm just
okay. All right.
But it's what he would have said, because what they've done is given this perfect way out, and it says also antibodies that could have been caused by a vaccine. Well, that means they have. Well, it's just basically bovine fecal matter, because they don't know whether I've had a vaccine or not. It means nothing. And that is actually there to encourage people to take the next shot, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're trying to give you a lifetime, where those antibodies are going to expire, like they're bad milk on the shelf. And the one thing that I did not understand at all was the last sentence.
The last sentence says it's still possible to get the virus again or spread it, although you're reduced if you've had the vaccine or already been infected. Now, this is the key, because I'm going to use this as evidence when they implement our vaccine passports, because I know what my score is. Don't want to share it, but it's very, very high. Mm-hmm. It's hundreds higher than are required for me to be resistant. It's important to keep following COVID-19 advice. If you took the test because you tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 2 weeks, this is also interesting.
That was my last sentence, by the way. What you're about to read was my last sentence.
Okay. Well, I decided I'm not good, because I suspected this bovine fecal matter might arrive. And so what I did was I didn't actually test myself until I was over 3 weeks from being negative. But again, it is purely to give them so many ways out from telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And I thought you'd like this, because I'm now, as you know, the next test that comes back will be an independent private test. And it's going to be very interesting to see. And as you know, I'm determined to keep testing, because I want to see how long I retain these antibodies. But I will just share one thing with all of our viewers that nobody else knows. It's just between you, me, and a couple of thousand people that watch this. Every year, because of my heart issue, which is an irregular heartbeat, folks, I have taken for the last 3 years, and this was over a year ago, I have taken a flu jab. Okay? Now, what I want to tell you is that on that flu jab, it says it protects you against what, Trent? What does it protect you against?
I don't know what the flu jab protects you against.
It says it protects you against coronavirus. Now, it's over a year ago, so by their definition, it couldn't be there. But I am just sharing this bovine fecal matter with you all, because I know in my heart, now this is the biggest ruse ever to vaccinate people or to jab them.
I've never had a flu jab. I will not take one.
Well, fair enough to you.
I'm not a new level resistor, Andrew. I've been a resistor for a long time. But you didn't finish it. Yeah, I want you to read that sentence that intrigued me.
Yes.
That you started to read, then I interrupted so you didn't get back to it because it's just completely confusing. It makes the whole
the last 2
letter
weeks,
gibberish.
Right, it says in the last 2 weeks, it's unlikely that the antibodies detected are from your recent infection. They're more likely to be from a previous infection. Well, in my case, that's true because I didn't have COVID in the last 2 weeks. I had it 4 weeks ago, and I was free 3 weeks ago. So I can't argue with that. But do you know what? Nowhere, absolutely no. This is where they give themselves an out, right? And this is why, if you read into what I'm saying, nowhere on that package does it say wait for 3 weeks. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you.
Right.
So what it means is that people very likely will do the test as soon as they've got over COVID, which will show antibodies, won't it? And they'll be able to then say, oh, it must have been the vaccine. It's all so blinking obvious if you think about it. And Amanda Radke, you're right, I won't be. Carry on.
But to take Amanda's question to another step, did your heart irregularity begin after you started taking an annual flu shot?
No, absolutely not. I've had this for over 10 years, Trent. I've only had the flu jab, I think, twice or 3 times.
Oh.
This is a hereditary thing. It's not life-threatening. It's something that I can live with without any problems at all. I just have to be careful against clots. To be honest, that's the one thing I've got to be worried about, which is what Moderna and that's why. Do you know what? There's been massive increase in heart attacks in Scotland, where I originate from, but they don't know why. Well, it's actually bloody obvious.
It's easy to figure out.
Obvious.
Heart attacks, heart issues, strokes, they will they're going to continue to accelerate, and they will not blame the real reason. It's because people got jabbed.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling that information is dripping out on all this now. And that's why, by the way, the irregular heartbeat, my mother's had it for years as well. And she's 85, so that does give me some hope. But what I would say to you is Mary Sneed has just said that she's got the same thing. I do know this. What I don't want is blood clots, because if your heart's not regular, that's you're asking for trouble. And
do you take aspirin on a daily basis? Because that's pretty well documented.
As much as I remember to, but I have one tablet I take for it as well, which thins the blood. But at the end of the day, listen, it's not about me. It's about the corruption that this is obviously showing people, and I'm just wanting people to read that. I wonder how many people who haven't had the jab have received that. Yes, you've got antibodies, and we think we've detected some resistance that's been built up from the vaccine. It's just absolute bovine fecal matter, isn't it? It really is.
I'm sure glad I taught you that phrase. You were able to use it 3 times correctly today.
Yeah, I see. Well, Bill Clinton's out of hospital, Frank. He's managed to overcome his urinal infection, I believe it was. Yeah. Right. Linda, apparently they say, just so you know, Linda, this is new. She's right. They're saying don't take aspirin, but that's because they found out that aspirin might reduce your chances of dying of COVID. So therefore, they don't really want you to take that, because that's not their agenda. Sorry.
I believe that to be true as well. All right. In beef news, we've had some developments in the last week, Andrew. It was announced earlier this spring that there's a group of cattlemen from primarily Nebraska, but Nebraska, Colorado, and this is happening all across the country, not just in my back door. They are tired of the manipulation in the cattle market and working at expanding markets by building their own packing plants. A $300 million proposed plant, I think, is going to begin construction yet this fall or first of the next spring. And at the same time that news comes out, we get news that the USDA is investing $10 million in fake meat grown in a lab.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this is that the USDA, who's supposedly the ultimate authority, is investing because they continue to talk about how we need to make sure that climate change is protected as we go forward.
Yeah.
Somehow continuing this nonsense that the cow is contributing to climate change in a negative way. And anytime some outlet reports it, I'm not seeing the USDA specifically use this, but every media outlet latches on to say, and remember, 14% of all greenhouse gases are caused because you eat meat. That is the biggest load of bovine fecal matter that's ever come across, because that was documented by Dr. Pierre Gerber, the author of that study in 2008, that they incorrectly put that together. The real answer is about 3.2. And the real answer is that those greenhouse gases are essential elements of life, not toxic.
Can I just tell you that this year in the UK, as of Friday, bovine fecal matter, which we haven't said many times in this discussion today,
5 times,
is going to be one of the most important ingredients to keep everybody in food this year.
Oh, absolutely. You're right. You're spot on. Fertilizer has gone through the roof. And without the ability...
Not just gone through the roof. Get this. Fertilizer in the UK, the 2 plants have closed down. Our farmers, our arable farmers and our dairy farmers and our beef farmers and our sheep farmers, our pig farmers and our poultry farmers, they cannot get nitrogen. So we are in for a winter of a lot less food. We're going to have scarcity for animals and for humans, and it's all part of the globalist plan. It's all to do with the gas prices that have made it very difficult to manufacture fertilizer at a competitive price, and our price has gone from, for nitrogen, has gone from £300 a ton, which is about $440 to $800 to $900 a ton, a metric ton.
And I'm sure ours is comparable. But, you know, Andrew, I actually, some time ago, because we've always had people trying to paint this negative sentiment about animal manure and nitrogen overloads and things like that, I actually did the math. I broke it down. I did the math. If 100% of the animal manure that is produced each year in the United States, 100%, which isn't logical, but if 100% just went to apply to the corn crop, it would supply 1/8 of the nitrogen needs for the U.S. corn crop. So as people talk about, we have this plethora of animal manure and it's causing this problem, it's not even enough to do a 25%, close to 1/8 is all of our nitrogen needs for the growing crop each year.
Well, you see, that's why bovine fecal matter, we could do a whole show on that. I know alone, couldn't we?
I kind of think we did.
It is. Yeah, good. Well, let's just keep it going, because the other thing is that there's so many different types of bovine fecal matter. Like somebody I know said a week ago he'd never fly again. Do you know who that was, Trent?
No. Do you have a recorded proof of that?
You're sounding like Joe Biden, Biden with his mask mandate in Washington.
What am I supposed to do? The guy calls me, wants me to come and do an event with him in Atlanta. I can't say no. I can't get there without flying, so I'm just live as a hypocrite. That's how it is.
How far is Atlanta? Tom, I'm going to do to you what you've done to me.
No, I looked because I considered not flying. It's 17 hours, which I did that.
And when is the event? When is the event?
Saturday morning.
Right. Okay. I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing. Don't react.
Well, I just drove to Ohio one way. That was 16 hours, and that is my preferred method of getting there. It's just I cannot make that work. What?
You sound like that woman in the White House.
I do not sound like that woman
you're
in the
blaming
White House.
everything else on you.
Did you see the video this week where she actually referred to people who have had the vaccine as with the mark?
Yeah. Yeah.
She said that.
Listen, I'm on top of
people
everything.
Who have the mark. That's what she said.
No. Well, she's also this week, the other thing that she's done is that she's been promoting a candidate in an election, which apparently is, you can't do that when you're part of an administration. But the biggest one has got to be Beijing Biden telling everybody they've got to wear masks indoors in Washington, D.C. and getting caught in a restaurant without one on. You couldn't make it all up.
It's not his fault. He didn't know he was in a restaurant.
Oh, that's true. And maybe he thought it was an ice cream parlor and he was just outside.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Correct, anyway, Warren. I will not be in Duncan.
What a great load of bovine fecal matter we've been talking to unite your farmers across the world. Because at the end of the day, the future is all about bovine fecal matter.
Yeah. And we didn't even touch the potential new mayor of New York City who is going to end zoo life for all animals because it's cruel and unusual punishment. Obviously, he's not been to a zoo. The attack on property rights, the attack on animal ownership, the attack on eating animals is on full bore, folks. Are you ready? All right.
I'll circle back. You're right there, Jim. I will circle back. You know, these people aren't going to win, though. I'm smiling because, do you know, in Trieste in Italy, have you heard about what's happened there, Trent? All of the port authorities have joined together. They're refusing to take any cargoes off ships, which means that Italy is now slowly running out of oil. And people are fighting back. Same in you know, various other parts of the world. We are starting to see people fight back and say, enough is enough of this tyranny.
Here's the thing about it, Andrew. You have to go find that story because no media outlet is making it available to you. They try to make you continue to think that you are an island fighting this big entity when in fact there are millions around the world fighting together. They're just trying to keep us isolated.
They are, but they're not succeeding. And but they're, you know, you do know, folks, there is rumors of a media blackout, but it won't be for long because they can't keep lies away. People are finding a way to tell the truth. And I think the fact that we're still on Facebook, goodness knows how, but we are, is a good thing because we can get that message out there and get people to certainly look at what's being said around the world, because some terrible things are happening, especially in Australia. You have to say that's been the most amazing things to me, that Australia has become so draconian. It's just frightening. And you know, $5,000 fines, losing your job. By the way, in Italy, as of Friday, if you weren't double vaccinated or double jabbed, you lost your job in theory. This is medical apartheid. It's tyranny. Doesn't matter what people tell you. People might accuse us of being right wing. No, that's right wing. Right wing is when you take people's freedoms away. That's fascism. That's right wing. That's a fact.
And we are here regaining control for the farmer, and we do it one day at a time. Hey, Andrew, final thing, and I got to go. Trent on the Loose premieres today on Beck Television, 4:00 Central Time. Don't miss it.
I won't. I won't. Will there be an airplane on it or anything there that we can smile about?
No, there will be a car racing. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.